So I'm just going to give you a quick intro to the conference. I'm just hoping that the dog doesn't eat the guinea pigs. If I move quickly in that direction, it's gone a bit wrong. So I'm just going to do that. And yeah, so this is what happened. We had over 170 abstracts, which was absolutely amazing. We had a discussion back in November, October, don't know when it was. We thought, oh, Mohammed said, how many do you think we'll get? And we went, oh, I don't know. This is all, I have no experience with this. I really don't know. So we said 30, 50 maximum. So we were amazed, astounded by the number and the quality, the variation, the variety of abstracts that we had. And Chris knows them inside out because he read every single one of them. And we had 5 streams, and all of this was sort of created by Chris and me as well, trying to organise the themes, the streams thematically and so on. And we had the side rooms, which were maybe a little bit harder to find. So we had over 100 sessions, plus the posters, and there were around about 400 people there on the day. It was a sellout. As I've probably said every 2 weeks for the last 2 months, it was a sellout. It sold out quickly. We were again amazed by that, and so pleased as well. And there was over 1,000 people online as well. We had on the day we had to double the number of Zoom licenses. Hang on a sec, Eddie. No. Sorry. Dog guinea pig issue. We might be able to hear him crying in the back, pushing the thing like this. And of course, there were networking opportunities galore. It was pretty amazing. I met people I had not seen in person before, as lots of other people did, and lots of new people as well. So the Health and Care Analysts Conference brought together the best analysts currently working in health and care in one place to celebrate, learn and be inspired. We had a packed programme. We had expert speakers, we had workshops, we had poster presentations, and we turned all of the analysts into influencers. That's trendy. And leading the conversation, driving change in health and care. Here's just a couple of little bit of an insight into what it looked like in this is the main lecture theatre. So who can you see? Who I could zoom in. Who should we zoom in on? There's some funny expressions. This is a safe picture for me because I'm not on this one. Okay. This is the beauty of being in control of what goes in on the screen, isn't it? Janine, you don't have to be worried. I haven't included any pictures of you. Oh, this guy. So here's Ben. Ben was great. He stayed for a lot longer than we thought he was going to stay. So he stayed for some sessions, and he was he did a great talk. Do catch up on that later on the recordings, which will be available on the HACA website. And there he is again. He's looking happy. Everybody was looking happy because it was a great session. It's just there's only a few of these, by the way. This isn't going to take a long time, and I just thought there's just some really great photos, and people were smiling and having fun. I think Ben was on stage at this point. Now this is I think this is out of context actually, because I know Peter is tall, aren't you? So, but this makes you look twice as tall as yours is. But it's a nice picture. I like that. That's nice. Okay, sorry. And then we've got what else have we got? We got 1 or 2 really good shots of 1 or 2 speakers. I like this one. So this is the reception area. You've got all the badges waiting for people to collect them, or they've been collected. These are all the events team who was there on the day. I can see Matthew and Jenny there, just hanging out. Oh gosh, that's me. I just realised I'm on that one. See the pink thing? The pink thing's me on the left. And these are all the left. This is all the left luggage. So these are all the people who came for 2 days and were staying in a hotel, needed somewhere to put their stuff. So I quite like that photo. Okay. Let's oops, I think I just missed one. So and here is this is a famous sort of moment of Peter awarding Chris with the most prestigious limited edition award in the world. It's the very first HACA 2023 mug. It isn't just a box. He wasn't just giving him a box. I mean, that would be weird, wouldn't it? There you go, Chris. Thanks for all your work. Here's a cardboard box. Okay. So now I'm going to stop sharing. I've got 1 or 2 things I'd like to share with you later, but I've realised I've invited people to not catch up on being out of the office for 2 days and to have a few moments to reflect. And I'm not allowing them to talk. So this has got to stop. Let's come back to the room and I'll stop sharing. So there we go. So I would. So I know Peter's here, but I can't see you, Peter. Have you got your camera on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. There's 2. I've got 2 pages. Maybe 2 screens. They're called pages, are they? It's not pages. Okay. Great. Well, thank you all for everyone for coming, and thank you for a few of you who have said you would be willing to share a few reflections of your experience of HACA, because that's what this session is all about. We've had a little bit of an overview, a little bit of a reminder, a taster, if you will. So we have a couple of questions for you, but Peter, I wonder, would it be okay if you were to briefly say why we did HACA, why it happened, just a couple of minutes, just to say what it was all about and how the story began.
Everyone, nice to see you all again. The appetite is clearly immense. So we've spent 2 days together, and people are back on the huddle, which is of itself is a telling, isn't it? Why we did it was your question, wasn't it, Rachel?
Yeah.
Well, the need for more opportunities for NHS analysts to showcase and share their work with a developmental spirit sitting behind it has seemed to me obvious for a very long, eternally obvious. So it was just a question of trying to find the opportunity and also deciding who was going to have a go at making it come to pass. So the opportunity came out of, as I said at the conference, sorry, some of you heard it before, but the opportunity in a way came out of Goldacre's report because he happened to include a recommendation that there should be a national conference. But we knew that most of Goldacre's recommendations would be ignored, because we've written national reports for NHS England on how to advance analytics, and all our recommendations are ignored, so his wouldn't be any different. They would select the ones they would like, and it wouldn't include the conference. But the fact he'd recommended it meant I just saw it, just spotted the opportunity really. And just as I said at the conference, it really was like this, just pitched it to the 4 CSU chief executives via Derek. And my pitch to them was, look, between you employ a significant proportion of the people who call themselves analysts across the NHS. This matters to your staff. You want to play a collective leadership role in the NHS. It's important to the CSUs that you're part of the NHS family. This is an opportunity for you to step in and let us make this thing real. And to be fair to them, as I said, they agreed it just like that. I got the answer within 2 days, and it wasn't an insubstantial decision because they each put in £50,000. Then we were able to get the Health Foundation. The only thing that I had to just manage with a bit of sensitivity was making sure that NHS England didn't think, even though they weren't going to do anything, they didn't think we were, putting tanks on their lawn or something. And again, to be completely fair, I wrote to Ming and explained what we were doing, and her response was great. We'll get behind it. So at that point, the only job was to do it, and I learned something because I didn't believe it could be done in 6 months, and I kept challenging the team, saying this way, and they said they would do it, and they did. So that's it. That's the story.
No, that's exactly what I was after. Yeah, because we were there back in October, November, thinking, when to have it. Could we possibly do it in this time scale? Everyone sort of advising us very sensibly, I have to say. These things take a year to plan. If you're going to do it properly, and it's the first, you want it to be done right. These things take a long time to plan. But I think we were just so determined and so so motivated to have this at this time and at that venue as well. Really keen to have that venue, that we made it happen. So yeah, thanks to the team for making that work. That was brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Peter. I now maybe. I could ask questions of anyone. So there's a couple of people I will start with, but I think I'm going to say this one to Tom. I'm going to put Tom in the spotlight because that's where Tom likes to be. Tom's very much, put the spotlight on me. Sorry, Tom. I am awful, aren't I? People should just be relieved that I wasn't given the stage and a mic at the HACA 2023. We could be having a different conversation now, like the story of why Rachel got sacked, or something like that. So Tom, can you just say who you are, what your role was, and maybe if there was anything that that surprised you about HACA 2023?
Sure. Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Tom Parnell. I'm the comms lead at the Health Economics Unit, and was doing the comms for HACA as well. Yeah, and yeah, thanks, Rachel, because yes, as with all comms people, my favourite place to be is behind someone else doing all the talking and prodding them with a stick to say stuff. Yeah, so it's something that surprised me. I think, yeah, it's a it's a small but significant. Well, it's not small really. It's a significant thing. I suppose something that didn't that I suppose I didn't expect to get out of it. Something that I learned, I suppose, in talking to people and speaking with analysts from across so many different organisations, people with an interest in analytics. One of the things that I kept hearing from people in public health was that was really interesting was this idea that often they'd be sort of one person, a one-person analytics team or one or two people in an organisation, and saying how great it was to be in a place with other analysts that they could talk to. And actually, I'd gone into it. I'm in an NHS organisation, obviously, and we were talking about how can we get more analysts together and sharing work. And our analysts saying we need to be more connected with a larger network of analysts. But hearing public health people say we're a bit envious of the NHS analysts having these teams and being connected. So it was interesting to sort of see that different perspective and the kind of and just great to really see people who I guess have been sitting on their own thinking, who do I talk to about what I do and what I'm passionate about? Really finding other people and making those connections. Yeah. So there you go.
Absolutely, and it was quite interesting that, and that's a really good point. But it's quite interesting that I think it was John Newton. So I haven't just made that name up, have I? I am tired, but I don't think I've made that name up. But he did do a show of he asked for a show of hands in the audience as to who was NHS, and I'd say it's like about 85% plus NHS analysts in the audience. But the conference is for health and care, so it does include, and we did have sort of public health intelligence analysts from local authorities, and I know we do on huddles. We have all the time. We do. So I think we maybe just need to increase and sort of reach out to them a bit more. I was a bit surprised that you didn't mention that you met me for the first time, Tom. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. It was good to meet you too. It was great. That was my personal highlight.
Of course. Yes. No. I just thought that was a given.
I jest. Okay, no, thanks for that. So I've now got a question for, and anyone can answer these, and you can jump in, but I just want reflections, please, or highlights of HACA from Chris. And Chris, you need to say, just for the people here, just in case they don't know who you are and what your role was with HACA, if you can remember.
Yeah, so I'm Chris Beeley. I'm a data scientist at the strategy unit. I don't know how to summarize my role, really. I don't know what to call it. I did lots of stuff with the program and went to lots of meetings. Organized, is that the right word? I don't know. I did lots of stuff at HACA.
It's kind of like a sort of a director, really. We never formally gave you that.
Yes,
role.
that horrible program that you've all been slaving away under for the last 2 days. I wrote that, and yes, it was imperfect in lots of ways. Lots of people have told me that. So that was me. Did I said all that? With an actual question, I think there must have been.
It's kind of yes, that's your role. So it's really and I think you had a sort of a different relationship with HACA in a way, because you know, having had such a responsible position for it, you just wanted it to work, and it did, and it was all fantastic and everything. So what were the highlights for you of HACA 2023? Highlights.
What were the highlights? I think there were some really excellent keynotes. Ben was very good. I do want to mention Ben stayed right until the very end. You know, I walked out at the end of the conference after all the talks had finished, and Ben was still there. And I caught him at one point during the middle of the day, and he had his Mac and he'd highlighted all the talks. So I think sometimes, you know, people in his kind of position, they go to conferences to kind of show their face and kind of, you know, buzz around a bit and then leave again. But Ben was there as an analyst, and I think that's really awesome. So I'm really glad that he was there and that he engaged in that way. So I wanted to mention that. Obviously, Claire and Puria were amazing, because of course they were. There was, I think the other highlights for me were kind of people in particular. I'm not going to name the individual. There was an individual who is quite new to the world of analysis, someone who's come from a more clinical background, but they've done analytic work. And again, it's one of these, you do meet these people who are in clinical environments and they have an appetite for data, and then they get a passion for it. And they're really useful, those people, because they've kind of got a foot in both camps. I mean, I suppose I sort of came from that, but anyway. And they really weren't sure. They were like, oh, it's only this rubbish thing in Excel and all this kind of thing. And I spoke to them about it, and I said, no, it sounds really good, actually, because it sounds like you made a difference with data. And that's what HACA's all about, is not, you know, machine learning and all this kind of thing, but making a difference. And I'm afraid to say I didn't actually see their whole talk, because I missed more of the conference than I wanted to do, because I was flitting around doing stuff. But I caught the end of it. It was really, really, really good. And I think that is a really good story that illustrates what HACA was all about. And this is something that Peter said, and I think it encapsulated very nicely, is that it was by analysts for analysts. I think that's really important. Often we're sold to, when we go to conferences, we're just sold stuff like, here you go, this will solve all your problems, press this button. And that's really awesome. And I spoke to someone else, actually, someone that I know quite well, and they were saying, oh, I've got a team of analysts, and I tried to get them to come, but they wouldn't come. You know, so we've got a reverse situation. We've got a manager saying to you, this is really important, I want you to go, I want you to, and they didn't feel like they belonged. They said, oh, no, we're too shy and we can't do all this kind of thing. And I said to her, well, you know, that's the total opposite of what HACA is about. So you tell them, go back to your organization and tell them that it's by analysts and for analysts, and it's them that belongs. They're the ones that belong. So she said, I really wish I'd recorded you saying that, and then I could go back and show them. So, but anyway, that is my message about HACA, is that it's for everybody. It's for Ben Goldacre, you know, being this amazing dude who's written this report, and it's for people who talk to me and say, oh, I'm not even sure if what I've done is any good, but I'd like to show it off to people, and everything in between. And I just want to very quickly mention Richard Riley's talk at the end as well, because it was absolutely amazing. We need way more talks of that. He was basically saying the same message I've heard time and time again from statisticians, which is the NHS really needs to get its house in order with respect to statistics. Forget about all this machine learning malarkey. You know, get your basics right. And I totally agree. So if you didn't catch Richard Riley, please go away and watch it, and then please go away and give lots of statisticians jobs, because I think it's really important.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you for all your work making HACA so successful. So before we move on to a couple of other questions, other people who are here now, who either presented or who went, or both, have you got any reflections, general reflections that you'd like to share with us? I'm going to start with Janine. Janine has definitely got something to say. I can just tell.
Thank you for that. It was great. It was so nice to be at a face-to-face conference.
It was, wasn't it?
After 4 years. Yeah. So I think the last proper face-to-face conference I was at would have been PHE's conference pre-pandemic, so 2019. So yeah. It was really good to do that. You forget how good it is to hear from people that are doing similar things to you. And so I've already had loads of follow-up this morning. I've got an email chat going with Nick Grudgings and Nick Hassey and somebody from NHS England about how you can project long-term conditions segments, because all three of us spoke about it over the course of the conference. And yeah, let's join up and actually learn from. So Nick Hassey is down in Bristol and Nick Grudgings is up in Leeds. So let's broaden out our networks and learn a bit more from other people. I forgot how exhausting it was to be at a conference for 2 days, and the payback for presenting is you get loads of people coming up to talk to you in lunch breaks. So it's not no 10 minutes and then go away and enjoy the rest of the day. It felt like a really busy, full-on work day. Got chatting to somebody on the train on the way back to Birmingham, and I've emailed her this morning to ask for her presentation because it sounded really interesting. So it's that opportunity to network that we haven't had for the last 4 years, and the opportunity to hear about the great work that other people are doing. And we've got all sorts of things. So we've got these huddles, we've got the NHS Futures webinars. There's all sorts of places where you can go and find out what people are doing, but actually doing it face to face makes it really different. So thank you for arranging it. I had a really good time.
Yeah, and thank you for contributing. It was great. Like I say, I saw one of your sessions and it was great. So I think the first day, it is very tiring because you're being in a sort of a physical environment and lots of interactions that you haven't been experiencing for some time. I found the first day, towards the end of the day, quite tiring, quite tired. But obviously amazing stuff. You want to give it your full concentration. And sort of all the interactions with people and so on. And then the next day I was a bit more chilled, and I found myself sort of being more relaxed and sort of seeking out like the networking sort of part of it. And I found myself guffawing a lot, and I wanted to do a pretty princess laugh. I was going, oh, yeah. So I don't know why. Maybe it's a release of tension. I don't know what it was, but I don't know whoever I was talking to and doing that to. I don't normally do that. It's much nicer. So my sort of my first encounter with a person who had a screen relationship with for several years happened on the train, actually. So I was on the train to the conference, and I could hear these guys talking about the competency framework, and I was standing up, and they didn't have anything to give me any indication as to who they were, apart from obviously their faces. I could see them. They didn't have bags on their heads. So I was just trying to think, that looks a bit like, and that looks a bit like, and I sort of standing up, looking over them, and I thought, well, I don't want this to be a really embarrassing case of mistaken identity, but I said, are you going to HACA by any chance? And because I'd already made a mistake, you see, at Stafford Station, seeing someone with an NHS thing on, I thought, well, everyone in the world goes to HACA. Are you going to? No. Oh. No, then I had to stand and talk to this person for about 100 years on a completely different subject. Anyway, so I thought, are you going to HACA? And person number one said, yes, and it was Ronnie. It was Ronnie Arafin from AFA, no less. So that was my first sort of encounter with Ronnie and someone who else who has presented at the huddle. I hope he's not here today because I can't remember his name. But that's how I knew him. Anyway, that was my first encounter. So that was wonderful, and Ronnie was great as well. So does anybody else have any? Sarah, so you were an attendee. Were you there for the 2 days? Would you be so kind as to say who you are and what you thought of the conference?
Is that me?
Yes.
Yeah. I was there for the 2 days. Yeah, I am Sarah. I just assume there's always a much more important Sarah there. But so I am so grateful to you for allowing me to come, because as a governor, of course, I'm not really an analyst, but I absolutely love your work, and it informs what I do enormously. So the breadth of understanding that it has given me is just absolutely incredible. So I'm going back, and I have already had some conversations about trying to get them to have a regional kind of team as well. And so I'm gently prodding to see if they have to get more analyst capability, because I can absolutely see the benefit of it. And I was very interested in, I think it was Michael Glassland, one where he said, we've got all this data about what happens inside the hospital, but it's very much this integrated care system piece, isn't it? About what's the effect of things not happening or happening in different ways. And that's so important. And so thank you all. It's absolutely amazing. You're fabulous and so welcoming. And that's very kind of you.
Absolute pleasure. Glad you enjoyed it. Has anybody else got any comments? You put your hand up if anybody wants to sort of. Zoe, you were there, weren't you?
I want to give a different perspective because I attended virtually. I got some lovely tweets saying, "You're not here," from none other than Peria and Claire, where I was like, oh, I'm fangirling them and they're saying they wish I was there. This is amazing. So we did a lot of toing and froing on tweets. I used the NHSR account, so those tweets were mine. So I do apologise if some of them were. I got into a bit of a Twitter muddle at one point, and I was threading the wrong bit, and I was replying to things. So it was pretty exhausting from somebody sat away, not in there, but I was doing all this chatting with people who were virtual, and there was one person asked a question of a strategy unit presentation, which I'd commented on because it was amazing, it was brilliant, it was lovely. It was by Andrew Jones, and they asked a question. I said, I will get back to you, and I will ask about it. Just out of interest, are you virtual or in person? And they were neither. So they said, oh, I'm not fit for sitting still. I'm just reading the tweets. And my tweets, I must say, it's quite difficult to tweet when you're attending something. So it's going to be really hard when I do the NHSR conference, if I do that. Summarizing what's going on, not just saying this person's talking, but saying this is of interest here. So I was well placed, because being at home, I could sort of search for things and say, data ethics, this is the data ethics link. NHSR, look at this. So it's tough communicating that way, just to say, but there is a market out there as well. So there was a lot of interest in the virtual world. And the other observation I had was some of the Zoom side rooms, they had open chat. But people are so lovely, as you said, Sarah, lovely and professional. All I saw in one of them was, oh, is the sound working? And some people saying, yes, mine's working. Oh, it must be my laptop. I'll go away and come back. So nobody abused that area of, because it is a bit of a worry, isn't it? Anybody could come in a sense, they could start saying anything. But the people who come virtually as well as in person are analysts, and they're all lovely. And I think thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was an intense day from this side of the computer screen. So I really feel for everybody who was there with all and choosing where to go. I mean, I could just go, oh, let's move quickly to this other room and then back again. I don't think you can do that in real life, can you? You kind of have to navigate round and hoping we can do a catch up as well. So some of these things, it was like, I really want to see that again. And that's one of the great things about thinking about virtual, is that actually then you have something set up for when people can catch up later or go over things again and keep that promotion going, because it was amazing work from analysts themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's it. It's great. Sorry, I was going to say you could have come in because the dog is barking because the postman's just come, of course. No, it's great to get the online perspective. That's brilliant. And of course those just imagine how it's like I'm like a kid in a toy shop. Yeah. All these people who will want to come and do huddles. I mean, they just will, won't they? So we'll be seeing these people in various different places as well. So that's a really good opportunity to sort of expose people here who are unable to go to the conference to some of that content and develop those relationships as well, because we're going to keep this going. We're going to keep this going. This isn't a one-off. It doesn't just start and stop end of those 2 days. That we build on this, build on the topics, build on the conversations and the relationships, build on the impact that we want HACA to have, and then it will culminate in next year, and then it'll continue. Somebody had their hand up. Who had their hand up?
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Yeah. So yeah, just to say my highlight obviously was meeting you face to face. So just get that out.
Hey.
But no, just prompted by something Zoe was saying there about the online. I don't know whether Zoom keeps its chat history, but some people were saying they saw stuff on Zoom and there were loads of questions and that being asked to presenters and they didn't see it. So yeah, I'm curious as to whether you'll be able to grab those questions and send them to presenters and then they can perhaps try and answer them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we had one of our sort of areas for development for next year. I think we'll push the high tech recording and interactivity to all areas of the conference next time. We only had it in one room, but if the questions are asked, they should be saved on a chat, and we'll be able to share those with presenters, and they should be able to, and I'm sure they would be delighted to respond to those as well. Zoe.
Oh, so from the experience of the questions, one of the ideas that we had for the NHSR conference, so we can test out some of these ideas because we'll only have one room as well, which makes it a bit easier, is that all questions are posed through some other, like Menti or Slido or whatever it is, in person and remote, to try and include, because you do have burning questions as a remote person, but there was no facility sometimes depending on which room you're in, but you might want to keep that conversation going, but keeping that inclusion is really hard. But that's what we were thinking of trying out, and we can always report back from people's experiences, because we're going to have a packed agenda for NHSR, so we're not going to have much time for questions, but we don't want to lose them, so keep those conversations going afterwards.
Absolutely. So it's something we'll think about, and we'll do our utmost to sort of follow up from that this time and improve on it for next time. So and you can learn from us, and and we'll learn from you. Okay, brilliant. So I've got a couple more things I want to sort of share before the end, but we've got plenty more time for any other comments. Has anybody got any other sort of reflections in general, highlights? So what did you your takeaways from the conference? Was there anything that surprised you about it, Chris?
Sorry, I'm not going to take any more airtime, but I just wanted to say, haven't we got a Menti going in the background? Are we going to come to that?
Yeah, there is a Menti going in the background. Where is it?
Sorry, I don't mean to derail you, but I just thought.
No. We'll come back to that. I've got a plan, and the plan is to well, the first part of the plan is to not forget that I've got a Menti going in the background.
Sorry, just ignore me. Carry on. Sorry, apologies.
No, because I may have. I mean, no, I'm a professional. I don't forget anything. But thanks for anyway. So thanks for telling me to record, and thank you for telling me what. Yeah, I'll come back to that. I can see it in front of me now. So I got some. Yeah, very good. We'll come back to that. So Peter, you're on mute.
This is the end of the discussion on HACA, is it, right? Just because I just one reflection, two things actually. So the first one is to gauge reaction, not from people, not necessarily here, but over time. So there was the challenge, I think, from Sarah Jane Marsh, or not the challenge, the proposition that there is a case for creating more of a sense of a movement across analysts. She quoted the proud to be ops thing that's going on at the moment amongst ops managers. And I could kind of hear in the background people say, oh, well, that's Analyst X or whatever. I think it should be HACA. I think HACA can be the brand for the movement. But of course I would. So I'd kind of, in a way, I'd be interested to get people's ideas. But apparently the HFMA grades organisations now about whether they're almost like finance friendly or whatever. You know, I think there's a whole bunch of stuff we could do. There's AFA there. There's all sorts of things. But there's something about HACA that is very democratic that I like. It's the analysts for analysts thing. But anyway, so that's the first one. I'd like to keep pushing this as the sort of the heart of the analysts revolution for those of you who remember us doing that. The only other reflection I have, which is a positive reflection, though it could sound slightly, is that I saw lots of really fantastic work, but I also saw lots of duplication. And I saw instances where several teams were coming at a similar issue, and if you took the best of what each of them had done and added it together, it would be something really spectacular. And there is this thing at the moment in the world of analysis that everyone starts everything from scratch, and I kind of left with an even more powerful sense that if we can crack our ability to share our analysis, and that means doing our analysis in ways that facilitates that, all the wrap stuff and so on that we know about. But if we can actually get better at, before we start something, finding out whether anyone else is already doing it or has already done it, and find ways to, I think it'd be massively powerful. So I think this project, the collaborative project that's happening in the MDSN this year, where the teams across the MDSN are going to work together, not just talk, not that kind of collaboration, they're going to work together, proper discipline of collaboration. And the objective they've set themselves is to try to derive best-in-class way of reporting the effect of inequalities on healthcare activity and healthcare outcomes. Now, I saw several examples at the conference of people who had things that were doing that, and they were very nice. There were lots of really good effort, but some of them were fundamentally flawed, I'm afraid. I have to say it. But they could be made so much better if we pulled our effort and started to get a sense of how we collectively can set the standards for things and how we can collectively add our work together. So I really want HACA to be a vehicle for that into the future as well. It's great we're sharing lots of good stuff, but we ought to also just reflect that some of what it shows is duplicate effort. And if we could strip that out, we'd be able to do even more great analysis that can contribute to improving services.
That's really helpful, Peter. I totally agree, and I think it's we just have that opportunity to do that. We have all the people who registered, all the people who came, and we can just build on that. We had a lot of people who wanted to come and who couldn't come, so we can who are just genuinely very, very interested in this. There's nothing to stop us doing that. So there's just a couple more things. This is all on HACA. I'm just going to abort anything else I was going to talk about because it's all meaningless. So I'm just going to share my screen before I come back to the not forgotten Menti, which you have been carefully sort of typing words into. So I'll come back to that in a minute or two. So I'm just going to share my screen for a couple of reflections that Tom and I recorded of people at the conference. You may well raise your eyebrows, Tom, because these are the unedited versions, and I do apologise if Tom, is David in the audience? I can't see. If he is, I won't do his.
I don't think he is. I think he might get away.
Cool, great, excellent. Let's go for it. Okay, so just a couple, and each of them are just like a couple of minutes. So what you've got here is me holding the camera, a bit wobbly, my arms were getting a bit tired, and Tom asking the questions, and so it's the unedited version of our interactions with people at the conference. So let's see if this actually works. Did I actually remember to? I'm not sure if I remember to put share my audio. Oh gosh, look at that. So Jenny's gone now. So this isn't what I was going to show, but this is just a tweet from this morning. There are so many tweets and people saying wonderful things. I'm going on with a big grin on my face, and they aren't directed at me. It's just the whole thing makes me very happy. That's just a tweet from Claire this morning. So this is you'll have to let me know if you can hear it or not. So this is one of our audience members, but you may recognise her as being Kate Chima. Can you hear it?
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so if you could start with just your name and your role in your.
Yep, hi there, I'm Kate Chima. I'm the Director of Evaluation and Insight at UCL Partners.
And what brought you to?
So I came to HACA today because, first of all, a great networking opportunity and lovely to catch up with so many colleagues from across the years, various roles, and see what they're up to, but also get to kind of be at almost the bleeding edge of some of the analytics that's going on in the NHS. What can I steal? What can I kind of learn, take away, some new ideas for new projects that we could get involved in to solve some of the issues that we've got in the UCL Partners patch that we hadn't, we might have been struggling with. So many great reasons, and also, free dinner.
Amazing.
You can trim
that. And what have you seen so far that you've enjoyed or inspired you?
So a couple of bits that have really piqued my interest. One that's fresh in my mind because I've just come out of this session was the use of AI in some of the, the basic admin tasks involved in junior doctoring. So discharge letters for common kind of regular standardized procedures. Yesterday, a really fascinating piece of work looking at digital inequality in access to GP online services. Oh, so much stuff. Some great stuff on forecasting, disease burden, both nationally and regionally. So much to take away. I could go on. Loads of great sessions.
And with HACA, we've tried to sort of bring together health and care analysts almost for the first time at a conference. And what do you think is the importance of bringing analysts like that together in the public sector?
Kind of 2 or 3 key reasons. So one is obviously the exchange of knowledge, expertise, understanding, making those connections, that kind of thing that's been at the back of your mind for ages. How do I do that? Who's done that before me? Is there someone else who's struggling with the same problem? So that kind of problem solving element. Secondly, that kind of sense of community, that you're not alone. Having just being part of a community that's sharing a similar experience to yourself in our wider context. It's obviously a really difficult time in health and social care generally at the moment, lots of pressure, and it's great to be able to kind of debrief and relax a little bit with people who are in the same context as you. It's been absolutely fantastic. And then I think thirdly, just solidifying some of the relationships kind of professionally. There is a feeling of having a profession and not just being kind of in a basement in a trust somewhere, or in a top of a building in some kind of skyscraper in London in the kind of ivory tower. So seeing the impact that our work can have as a community, as a professional community, is really important for me personally. So all of those things together, that's why it's so important that we come together.
Thank you. And lastly, what would you like to see next year?
So what I would like to see next year at HACA is more great content. I mean, I can't describe to you the content that has been here. It's genuinely been by analysts for analysts, which has been fab. So more of that, please, if it's possible to squeeze any more of it in. I would like to see, it would be great to see colleagues from, more colleagues from social care, perhaps, coming in as well, because I think we've got so many opportunities to work more closely together, maybe local government too. So I think there is a wider community out there that we can kind of bring into our happy health circle.
Thank you very much.
That's right.
Lovely.
All good.
Did you see and hear that? Okay, I was because I think I couldn't share I couldn't flip screen, so I just thought some kind person will say that's okay. So that was Kate. I'm not going to have a chance to share the other ones, maybe one more in a sec. But yeah, so what she was saying, what other people were saying, were very consistent. They were very upbeat. And not just because they were hanging out with me and Tom. I think they were having a great time. Well, I was so bad at recordings. All I had to do was stand there and hold the phone. But I found myself, because they had to look at the camera phone. Like with Kate, I found myself nodding. Oh yeah. He's going like this. And I was agreeing with her and smiling, and because it felt like I had to interact, and I didn't. I just had to be like a a tripod. That's what we do next time. We get a tripod. Then I'm redundant. No, don't do that. Okay, that was one example. So we just got time for probably one of the comment or a couple more comments from people if you have them. If not, I've got one or two more things I can share. Any sort of
just the
final
mentee,
comments?
Rachel.
Okay. Listen, I'm keeping you all in the room, aren't I? Oh. Right, are you ready? Where is it? I can't believe exhausting is so high up there, but I actually can. I actually can. Inspiring is the top response, guys, and I think I would 100% agree with that. It really does allow you to sort of step back, and rethink how you do stuff, do something different, work with different people, make those connections, and yeah, inspiring is good, enjoyable, excellent, thought-provoking. This is good, isn't it? Is this what we? Yes, great effort for a first hacker. No, this is life-changing. Now that should have been in the middle. That's great. I'm enjoying looking at that. Okay, so I've got just about two more sort of slides to share with you. So I'm not going to be I have to stop sharing this one and share a different one, and I will so I'm going to oops, hang on, no, not that, have I got time to show David's? Yeah, I don't know how long they are actually, so I shall show David's only because it's a blooper. So I'm so mean. I'm not going to do it. I'm not that kind of girl. I'm not going to do it. I'll share my screen, and then is this from presentation? Oh, got it. There he is. So there he is. I'm not going to show that. That's David. And it was great. I met David for the first time, so I would just like to sort of say this is where it was at, because I forgot this slide was here. So that's what I'd like to say about this slide. What I wanted, this is one of my things with the conference, because we're going through a period now of deep reflection and what went really well, what are the things that we need to change, whether it's with the program, the venue, or other things. I wanted like big banner at the top there, and I wanted bunting, and I wanted this, and the medical school said no. They said it wasn't, these things weren't permitted, but I think we can work on that. We can work on them. So that's that. I'd just like to say thank you to panel. That's everybody who appeared. You are my panel for today. I've really enjoyed hearing your interactions, and we did have so my final slide is really we did have a social for and some of you were definitely there, because I spoke to you. We had a lovely dinner at the Botanical Gardens, and it was very much like a wedding reception. we had a wonderful quartet on arrival, which was difficult to hear because everyone was so busy connecting and talking to each other, and we had a photographer who'd been there and was there throughout both days. And I'm a bit ashamed to say that I did do a bit of a photo bomb, because I know it's an accident. So my final slide is this. Ta-da! I'm so bad. I was literally walking, and there's Anastasia. I don't know the lady, but I was walking past, and he was going like this, and and it was a pure accident. I didn't do it on purpose. So there you go. I finished like a whole minute early. So, oh, Chris, and the very final comments from Chris. Oh, did you want to say something, Chris, or was you just putting the hand? Or you just say, okay. No. Jack, you definitely got your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Rachel. Just really good to hear all the comments today, and yeah, no, it was a great event. In terms of sort of practical next steps with some of this, I think all the recordings and material are going to be sort of feeding into the website over the coming days, weeks. Is that right? I just want to tee my team up to the right time scale to access stuff, and then I wonder if we could maybe do a bit of a vote on particular talks that through this group we might want to hear more about, in terms of some of the 15-minute speakers who we'd really like to get a full hour out of, so we can understand more of the methodologies and code and stuff.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So just on those two things. So the HACA website that is there at the moment, we will be putting the recordings on that website. It's not sort of our website as such, but we have access to it for several months to come. So we will be using that. And yes, we are working on getting those recordings sort of up as soon as possible. Obviously, they need some form of editing so that they are accessible and you can interact with them more flexibly. And I think that's a great idea. It'd be to have those 15 minutes glimpses of such excellent content that we want to know more about. We can have them as a huddle, or we can connect with them in different ways. Yeah, we'll set up a vote. We can do that. We are surveying everybody who went, but obviously not everybody was able to get there. So I think that's a good way of making it more sort of accessible and fairer to those who weren't able to get there. Yeah, so we'll be sending the survey out next week. Which will include people's favourites, but it doesn't do the same thing as you just mentioned, Jack. So thanks very much for that comment. And my very final comment is from Tom, who's got his hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I would follow the social channels, encourage everyone. We're on Twitter and LinkedIn. So yeah, we will be, as soon as those videos and things are live, we'll be doing that, and also further events and updates. So yeah, best place to see all those things as and when they come.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming today, everybody who's talked, and everybody who's been here listening. And we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Thanks, Rachel.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.